Have you ever been caught off guard by someone's behavior? Maybe they talked over you, dismissed your feelings, or blatantly crossed a line you thought was clear. It's a moment that lingers, isn't it? You replay the scene in your mind, wondering if you should have said something sharper, stood your ground more firmly, or even walked away altogether. But instead, you're left with that uneasy feeling, like your self-worth took a hit you didn't see coming. Here's the thing. Disrespect isn't just about the action. It's about the ripple effect it creates within us. It stirs up emotions, anger, hurt, frustration. It makes us question our boundaries, our worth, and even our confidence. For most of us, the natural reaction is either to fight fire with fire or to shrink away in silence, nursing the wounds in private. But let me ask you this. Has either of those approaches ever truly worked for you? What if I told you there's another way? A path that doesn't rely on confrontation, retreat, or carrying the weight of resentment. Instead, it's about reclaiming your power, finding your inner calm, and responding from a place of wisdom and compassion. That might sound idealistic, but it's deeply rooted in Buddhist philosophy, a treasure trove of practical, transformative teachings that can help you navigate life's toughest moments. Here's where it gets intriguing. The answer isn't about what you say. It's not even about what you do. It's about the energy you bring to the situation, the way you hold yourself, and the principles you live by. Respect, after all, starts with you. And when you approach moments of disrespect with clarity, groundedness, and compassion, you set a powerful standard, not just for others, but for yourself. In today's video, we'll explore 5 powerful ways to handle people who don't respect you, all inspired by the timeless wisdom of Buddhism. But don't expect abstract philosophy. These are practical, actionable strategies that you can start using today, whether it's through silence, setting boundaries, or embracing your self-worth. These tools will help you maintain your dignity, protect your peace, and transform negativity into an opportunity for growth. Here's why this matters. The way you handle disrespect isn't just about managing others. It's about defining how you value yourself. Each of these 5 strategies is a stepping stone to a more empowered, peaceful version of you. One that doesn't bend to the chaos of others, but instead rises above it with grace. Imagine this. The next time someone crosses a line, you don't feel the need to react immediately. Instead, you pause, breathe, and respond in a way that reflects your strength and values. You leave the interaction not drained, but empowered. Doesn't that sound like a game changer? Stay with me, because this video isn't just about handling disrespect. It's about redefining how you engage with the world. By the end, you'll have a toolkit of wisdom and techniques to face life's challenges with confidence and calm. So, let's dive in. Let's explore how silence, compassion, and self-respect can transform the way you interact with those who test your boundaries. This isn't just about them, it's about you. And what you're about to learn might just change how you see yourself forever. 1. Embrace the silent stare. Practicing mindful non-reaction. Sometimes the most powerful response to disrespect is no response at all. A silent stare, grounded in mindfulness, can carry more weight than 1,000 words. Why? Because it shifts the dynamic entirely, allowing you to remain in control while subtly reflecting the other person's behavior back to them. In a world where words often escalate tension, silence can be a profound act of defiance, one that communicates strength, clarity, and self-respect. In Buddhist philosophy, this aligns beautifully with the practice of mindfulness. Instead of reacting impulsively to negativity, mindfulness invites us to pause, observe, and let the moment unfold without judgment. That pause is powerful. It's a space where clarity and wisdom can arise, where you can decide not to let someone else's actions dictate your emotions or behavior. It's in that moment of stillness that you reclaim your power. Consider the story of the Buddha and the angry farmer. One day, as the Buddha sat teaching, a farmer approached him, seething with anger. The farmer unleashed a torrent of insults, blaming the Buddha for corrupting the minds of others and disrupting the community. The Buddha, unmoved, sat silently and listened. When the farmer had finished, the Buddha calmly asked, "If someone offers you a gift and you choose not to accept it, To whom does the gift belong? The farmer, taken aback, replied, It remains with the giver. The Buddha smiled gently and said, Then I do not accept your anger. This simple exchange reveals a profound truth. You don't have to accept the negativity that others project onto you. By remaining silent, the Buddha didn't suppress his emotions or avoid confrontation out of fear. Instead, his silence was intentional, a reflection of his inner peace and unshakable self-awareness. It was a statement of his boundaries, a refusal to let the farmer's anger disturb his calm. In our everyday lives, we may not face situations as dramatic as the Buddha's, but the principle remains the same. When someone disrespects us, whether through an interruption, a snide comment, or outright hostility, it's easy to feel an urge to defend ourselves, to explain, or to retaliate. But these reactions often leave us feeling drained and unsatisfied, as if we've handed over a piece of ourselves in the process. A silent stare, however, offers a different approach. It says, I see you, but I refuse to engage in your negativity. I respect myself too much to let this affect my peace. Imagine you're in a meeting, presenting an idea you've worked hard on, and someone repeatedly talks over you or dismisses your points. The instinct might be to raise your voice, to argue, or to demand attention. But what if, instead, you stopped speaking, leaned back in your chair, and fixed a calm, steady gaze on the interrupter? No words, no expression, just presence. That silence speaks volumes. It creates a palpable tension that forces the other person to confront their behavior. They may stumble over their words, grow uncomfortable, or even stop entirely. The power has shifted, not because you fought back, but because you didn't play their game. This approach is not about passive aggression or trying to intimidate. It's about stepping out of the cycle of reactivity and into a place of mindful non-reaction. It's a reminder, to them and to yourself, that you don't owe anyone an emotional reaction. You don't need to validate their disrespect by engaging with it. Instead, you stand firm in your own sense of worth, grounded in the knowledge that their actions say more about them than they do about you. When you practice this kind of silence, something remarkable happens. The disrespectful behavior often loses its power. People who thrive on negativity rely on provoking a reaction. They want to see you flustered, defensive, or upset. When you respond with calm silence, you deny them that satisfaction. It's as if you're holding up a mirror, forcing them to face the weight of their own actions without the distraction of your response. For many, this is deeply unsettling. They might not change immediately, but the encounter leaves an impression. They start to see you differently, not as someone who can be easily swayed, but as someone grounded, unshakable, and worthy of respect. Beyond its impact on others, the silent stare is transformative for you. It strengthens your sense of self-worth, reminding you that your value doesn't hinge on someone else's opinion or approval. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you reclaim a piece of your power. You remind yourself that your peace is not negotiable. This practice is not easy. It requires patience, presence, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. But over time, it becomes second nature, a natural extension of your commitment to mindfulness and self-respect. In moments of disrespect, silence is not just the absence of words, it's the presence of awareness. It's a statement that says, I see what's happening, and I choose not to be pulled into it. It's a pause that gives you the space to respond from a place of wisdom rather than emotion. And most importantly, it's a declaration of your boundaries, a way of saying without words, this is where your influence ends. The next time someone tests your boundaries, try this. Take a deep breath, steady your gaze, and let the silence fill the space. Notice how it feels, not just the discomfort it may create for the other person, but the empowerment it brings to you. Notice the shift in energy, the way the dynamic changes when you choose to stay rooted in your calm. And remember, this isn't about winning or proving a point. It's about holding on to your peace, no matter what storms rage around you. 2. Embrace silence as your answer. The wisdom of non-engagement. Silence isn't weakness. It's a form of strength rooted in wisdom. When someone disrespects you, they're often looking for a reaction, a sign that they've succeeded in getting under your skin. By choosing silence, you deny them that satisfaction. It's a deliberate choice, one that reflects not passivity but power. In a world that values quick comebacks and sharp retorts, silence stands out as an act of defiance, one that protects your peace while subtly reshaping the interaction. In Buddhist philosophy, the concept of patience or forbearance offers profound guidance here. It teaches us that enduring negativity without retaliation is not about submission. It's about prioritizing what truly matters: your inner peace, your sense of self-worth, your connection to the present moment. These are far more valuable than the fleeting satisfaction of winning an argument. Silence, in this context, is a gift you give yourself. It's a way of saying, I see what's happening, and I choose not to let it disturb my equilibrium. Consider the story of a Zen monk traveling through a village. As he walked, a man confronted him, shouting insults and accusing him of hypocrisy. The monk paused, looked at the man with calm eyes, and then bowed slightly before continuing on his way without uttering a word. Later, his disciples, puzzled by his response, asked, "Why didn't you defend yourself? Why didn't you say something?" The monk smiled gently and replied, "Why waste breath on words that will only fan the flames of anger?" His silence was not a sign of surrender. It was a statement of mastery. He had nothing to prove, and in refusing to engage, he maintained his peace while allowing the man's anger to dissipate on its own. This kind of silence doesn't mean ignoring the disrespect or pretending it didn't happen. It's about acknowledging it without letting it control you. Imagine a shield, strong, steady, unshakable. When negativity comes your way, the shield of silence absorbs it, deflecting it without breaking. You stand firm, protected by your choice not to engage. This isn't avoidance, it's wisdom. It's recognizing that your energy is precious and that not every battle is worth fighting. Picture this: you're at a family gathering, and someone makes a passive-aggressive remark about your life choices. You feel the sting, the temptation to fire back, to explain yourself or turn the tables. But instead, you pause, you breathe, you let their words hang in the air, unanswered. The silence grows heavier than any response you could have given, and the power shifts. Their comment loses its edge, and you remain centered, untangled from the drama. It's not about ignoring the comment. It's about showing that it holds no power over you. Choosing silence in these moments isn't easy. It requires restraint, a deep understanding of your values, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. But with practice, it becomes a natural response, one that reinforces your inner strength. When you refuse to engage, you're not just protecting yourself from external negativity, you're also affirming your commitment to self-respect. Silence becomes a boundary, a way of saying, "This is my peace, and I won't let you take it from me." This approach can feel counterintuitive in a culture that prizes quick wit and assertiveness. We're often told that to be silent is to be weak, to let others walk all over us. But silence, when chosen intentionally, is the opposite of weakness. It's a refusal to give your power away, a decision to stay rooted in your own values rather than being pulled into someone else's chaos. It's not about letting things slide. It's about letting them go. Think about the times when you've reacted to disrespect, whether with anger, defensiveness, or hurt. How did it feel afterward? Did it resolve the situation, or did it leave you feeling drained? Now, imagine the alternative: a pause, a breath, a moment of quiet reflection. In that space, you reclaim control. You decide what matters and what doesn't. You choose your response, or lack thereof, from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. When you embrace silence as your answer, you also invite the other person to sit with their own behavior. Words can deflect, distract, or escalate, but silence is a mirror. It forces the other person to confront what they've said or done without the distraction of your reaction. This can be uncomfortable for them, so much so that they may rethink their approach entirely. People who thrive on conflict often rely on a feedback loop of negativity. By refusing to participate, you break that loop, shifting the dynamic in a way that words rarely can. There's a subtle beauty in this kind of silence. It's not about ignoring the world or retreating into yourself. It's about engaging with life on your own terms, choosing when and how to respond based on what aligns with your values. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's the presence of awareness. It's a statement that says, I value my peace more than your provocation. I choose to remain grounded in who I am. The next time someone directs negativity your way, try this. Pause for a moment. Feel your feet on the ground, your breath in your chest. Let their words settle like ripples on the surface of a pond, and then watch as the water becomes still again. In that stillness, you'll find your strength. You'll realize that you don't need to react to prove anything. Your silence is enough. It speaks volumes about your confidence, your composure, and your commitment to protecting your peace. Silence, in these moments, becomes a quiet revolution. It challenges the idea that power lies in dominance or aggression. Instead, it reminds us that true power comes from within, from the ability to stay calm and composed no matter what life throws our way. It's a practice, one that grows stronger with time and intention. And as you embrace it, you'll find that your silence is not just an answer. It's the most powerful statement you can make. 3. Stop explaining your choices. The freedom of letting go. How often have you found yourself trapped in the endless loop of explaining your decisions? Someone asks, why did you choose that job? Why don't you attend that event? Why don't you live the way I do? And suddenly, you're pouring energy into justifying your life, laying out your reasons as though you're standing trial. We've all been there, trying to avoid judgment or to seek validation by over-explaining. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Your life, your path, your choices, they're yours to make. And that's enough. In Buddhism, the principle of non-self provides profound liberation from this trap. It reminds us that our worth is not tied to the opinions of others. You are not defined by their judgments or their expectations. The choices you make are reflections of your inner truth, not a reflection of how others perceive you. When you embrace this understanding, you begin to untangle yourself from the need for external validation. You realize that the only person who truly needs to understand your decisions is you. Take, for instance, the story of a young monk who decided to leave behind his family's wealth and comfort to pursue a simple, contemplative life. His relatives were bewildered. They questioned him incessantly, asking why he would abandon such privilege for what they saw as hardship. Surely, they thought, there had to be a rational explanation, some way to make sense of what seemed like a foolish choice. The monk, however, simply smiled and replied, because this path feels true to me. He didn't argue, justify, or try to win them over. His unwavering confidence in his decision silenced their doubts, not because he persuaded them, but because he didn't seek their approval in the first place. This story holds a lesson for all of us. How often do we explain our choices not because we want to share our perspective, but because we're afraid of being judged? That fear can lead us into over-explaining, trying to preempt criticism or gain acceptance. But in doing so, we hand over our power. We let others' opinions dictate how we feel about our own decisions. When someone questions your choices, pause and ask yourself, am I explaining because I want to, or because I feel I have to? If it's the latter, take a step back. Your life is not a debate, and your decisions don't need to be put on trial. Imagine a scenario where you've decided to change careers, leaving a stable but uninspiring job for something more aligned with your passions. The moment people hear about your decision, the questions start pouring in. But why would you leave a secure job? How will you manage financially? Isn't this a bit risky? It's tempting to launch into a detailed explanation, outlining your plans and reassuring them that you've thought it all through. But no matter how well you explain, there will always be those who remain unconvinced. Those who will continue to judge your choice through the lens of their own fears and biases. Instead of explaining, what if you simply said, because it feels right for me? That single sentence is both truthful and powerful. It doesn't invite debate or seek approval. It asserts your autonomy and reminds others that your path is yours to walk. The beauty of such a response is that it shifts the dynamic entirely. You're no longer trying to fit your decision into someone else's framework. You're standing firm in your own. Letting go of the need to explain your choices isn't about shutting others out or being dismissive. It's about prioritizing your inner peace over the opinions of others. It's about recognizing that no matter how thoroughly you explain, you can't control how others perceive you. People will always interpret your choices through the lens of their own experiences, fears, and limitations. And that's okay. It's not your responsibility to manage their reactions. This freedom to let go becomes even more transformative when you realize how much energy you've been expending in these explanations. Think about all the times you've carefully constructed arguments, rehearsed your reasoning, or revisited a conversation, wishing you'd said something differently. Now imagine reclaiming that energy. Imagine channeling it into living your life instead of defending it. The more you practice this, the lighter you'll feel. It's as if a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying has been lifted. There's also a deeper wisdom in trusting your choices without needing to explain them. It reflects an inner confidence, a sense of self-respect that says, "I know what's best for me." This doesn't mean you'll always make perfect decisions. No one does. But it means you're willing to own your path, including the missteps, without seeking external validation. When you approach life with this mindset, you cultivate a resilience that no amount of approval can provide. You learn to navigate challenges and uncertainties with grace, grounded in the knowledge that you're living authentically. It's natural to want to be understood, especially by those closest to us. But there's a difference between sharing your perspective and feeling compelled to justify it. Sharing is an act of connection. Justifying is often an act of fear. When you stop explaining, you free yourself to share on your terms, when and how you choose. You invite others to meet you where you are, without placing the burden of their understanding on your shoulders. Think about the last time someone questioned a significant choice you made. Perhaps they asked why you ended a relationship, why you moved to a new city, or why you chose a certain lifestyle. Did their questions make you second-guess yourself, even if only for a moment? That's the subtle power of judgment. It can seep into your mind and shake your confidence. But when you stop explaining, you close the door to that influence. You anchor yourself in your truth, allowing it to guide you without interference. The next time someone questions your choices, try responding with confidence and brevity. Say, "This feels right for me," or simply, "Because I want to." Then pause and let the silence speak. Notice how it feels to stand in your truth without elaboration. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to over-explaining, but over time, you'll find that this approach not only protects your peace, but also strengthens your sense of self. Your life is not a performance, and your decisions don't need an audience. They are valid simply because they are yours. When you let go of the need to explain, you reclaim your power. You step into a space of freedom, where your choices are guided by your values and intuition, not by the expectations of others. This is the essence of living authentically, walking your path with confidence, clarity, and the quiet assurance that you are enough, just as you are. 4. Keep your distance. The power of boundaries. Not everyone deserves a front-row seat in your life. If someone consistently disrespects you, it's not just okay, it's essential to create distance. This isn't about anger, avoidance, or cutting people off out of spite. It's about choosing self-respect, protecting your energy, and recognizing that your well-being deserves to come first. In a world that often equates constant availability with kindness, setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, even radical. But the truth is, boundaries are acts of love, not just for yourself, but for the relationships that truly matter. In Buddhist philosophy, the concept of noble friends offers a guiding principle for this. The Buddha taught that the people we surround ourselves with play a significant role in our spiritual and emotional growth. Noble friends are those who uplift, inspire, and encourage us to walk the path of truth and compassion. Conversely, the Buddha also warned of the dangers of associating with those who sow negativity or harm, as their energy and actions can pull us away from our purpose. Just as a gardener carefully selects what to plant in their garden, so too must we be mindful of who we allow into our inner circle. This understanding doesn't mean labeling people as good or bad. It's not about judgment, it's about discernment. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay, And that's okay. Some relationships are seasonal, meant to teach us lessons or help us grow. Others may become toxic over time, draining our energy and filling our minds with doubt. Recognizing this isn't about blame. It's about taking responsibility for the environment you create for yourself. I remember a time when this lesson hit close to home. I had a friend who, for years, seemed supportive on the surface, but would always find subtle ways to criticize my choices. Whether it was about my career, my relationships, or even trivial things like my taste in music, their comments always felt like veiled jabs. At first, I brushed it off, telling myself that's just how they were, that I was being overly sensitive. But over time, I noticed a pattern. Every interaction left me feeling smaller, doubting myself more, and questioning my worth. It wasn't one big incident that made me realize this. It was the cumulative weight of those little moments that made me feel drained. One day, I decided to do something different. I didn't confront them with a grand speech or cut ties abruptly. Instead, I started to create distance. I limited the time we spent together, choosing to prioritize relationships that felt more supportive and uplifting. At first, it was uncomfortable. I worried about how they'd perceive it, whether they'd think I didn't care. But as I leaned into this boundary, I felt lighter. The absence of their criticism gave me room to breathe, to reconnect with myself, and to focus on the people who truly valued me. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you dislike someone or wish them harm. It means you love yourself enough to recognize when a relationship isn't serving you. Think of your life as a garden. Not every plant deserves to grow there. Some flowers bring beauty and joy, while others might choke out the light and steal nutrients from the soil. To keep your garden flourishing, you must tend to it with care, removing what no longer serves its growth. Creating distance can be an act of profound kindness, not just toward yourself, but toward the other person as well. Sometimes, our presence in someone else's life enables patterns of negativity or dependency that neither of us is fully aware of. By stepping back, you give both parties a chance to reflect and grow. Distance isn't rejection, it's a realignment. It's saying, I value this relationship enough to step away for both our sakes. Of course, this is easier said than done. Society often tells us that loyalty means enduring discomfort, that love means staying no matter what. But what kind of loyalty asks you to betray yourself? What kind of love demands that you sacrifice your peace? True loyalty and love honor boundaries. They recognize that for any relationship to thrive, both individuals must feel respected, supported, and whole. When you start creating boundaries, you might encounter resistance. People who are used to having unlimited access to you may feel hurt or confused. That's natural. But remember, their reaction isn't a reflection of your worth or your choices. It's a reflection of their adjustment to the new dynamic. Over time, those who truly care about you will understand and respect your boundaries. And those who don't, perhaps they were never meant to be in your garden to begin with. There's a liberating power in realizing that you don't have to justify your boundaries. You don't need to explain why you're spending less time with someone or why you've chosen to create space. Your peace is reason enough. The relationships that matter will survive and even thrive within these boundaries, while those that don't align with your values will naturally fade away. Think about the energy you've given to people who consistently cross your boundaries. Imagine reclaiming that energy and pouring it into relationships that uplift you, into pursuits that nourish your soul, into creating a life that reflects your true self. That's the power of boundaries. They're not walls to keep people out. They're gates that you open and close with intention, allowing only what supports your growth to enter. Creating distance isn't about isolating yourself or avoiding conflict. It's about protecting your energy so you can show up fully for the people and experiences that matter most. It's about recognizing that your time and presence are valuable, and not everyone is entitled to them. When you create space from those who disrespect you, you make room for those who celebrate you. As you navigate this practice, approach it with compassion for yourself and for others. Understand that setting boundaries is a process, one that requires patience and courage. There may be moments of doubt, times when you second-guess your choices, but each step you take toward honoring your well-being is a step toward a more authentic and fulfilling life. The next time someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, pause and ask yourself, does this relationship support my growth, or does it drain my energy? If it's the latter, consider creating space, not out of anger, but out of love for yourself. Trust that by tending to your garden, you're not only nurturing your own peace, but also setting the stage for deeper, more meaningful connections. In choosing to keep your distance, you're not pushing people away, you're drawing closer to the life you deserve. This isn't selfish, it's self-respect. And in practicing it, you teach others to honor not only your boundaries, but also their own. 5. Hold your head high, the practice of self-respect. When someone disrespects you, their goal is often to make you feel small, whether through a snide comment, dismissive behavior, or outright hostility. The intent is to shake your confidence and shift the power dynamic in their favor. It's a tactic rooted in insecurity, often designed to project their own discomfort or inadequacies onto you. But here's the truth. Your worth doesn't depend on their words, their approval, or their perception of you. It never has, and it never will. In Buddhism, self-respect comes from within. It's not something others can give or take away. It's an unshakable understanding of your intrinsic value, one that remains constant regardless of the storms around you. The Buddhist teachings remind us of this profound truth. You yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and respect. These words aren't just a gentle affirmation. They're a call to action, urging you to stand tall in your worth, no matter the circumstances. Holding your head high isn't about arrogance or defiance. It's about embodying a quiet confidence that says, I know who I am, and nothing you say or do can diminish that. Imagine this. You're at a family gathering, and someone takes a jab at your career choice, your lifestyle, or even something trivial like the way you dress. The room falls silent, all eyes subtly shifting to you, waiting to see how you'll react. In that moment, you have a choice. You could shrink, letting their words pierce your confidence. You could retaliate, matching their negativity with your own. Or you could stand tall, smile gently, and let their words fall away like leaves carried off by the wind. That simple act, meeting disrespect with unwavering composure, shifts the entire narrative. Their attempt to belittle you loses its power, and your confidence fills the room with a quiet strength that no one can ignore. Holding your head high is a practice, one that begins with a deep belief in your own worth. It's not about proving yourself to others. It's about reminding yourself that you are enough, just as you are. This practice is rooted in mindfulness, an awareness of the present moment that allows you to stay grounded in your truth. When you walk with confidence, it's not about arrogance or pride. It's about living in alignment with your values, unshaken by external negativity. There's a subtle power in this kind of self-respect. It's not loud or confrontational. It's steady and unyielding. People who disrespect others often rely on a reaction. They want to see you flustered, defensive, or unsure of yourself. When you respond with calm confidence, you deny them that satisfaction. Your composure sends a clear message. Their words or actions do not define you. This isn't about dismissing others or ignoring feedback. It's about discerning what truly matters and letting go of what doesn't. Consider the story of a young monk who was once insulted by a traveler. The traveler accused the monk of hypocrisy, questioning his dedication to the spiritual path. Instead of arguing or defending himself, the monk simply smiled and said, "Your words are yours, not mine." This response wasn't an act of dismissal, but a reflection of the monk's deep self-awareness. He understood that his worth was not tied to the traveler's opinion. His confidence was rooted in his own understanding of himself, not in external validation. This kind of inner strength is transformative. It allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace, turning moments of disrespect into opportunities to reaffirm your self-worth. It doesn't mean you'll never feel hurt or offended. Those emotions are natural. But when you hold your head high, you create a space between the insult and your reaction. A space where you can choose how to respond. That choice is where your power lies. Walking through life with this mindset is liberating. It frees you from the exhausting need to seek approval or avoid criticism. Instead, You move through the world with a quiet assurance that your worth is not up for debate. This doesn't mean you'll always get it right. There will be moments when the temptation to shrink or retaliate feels overwhelming. But each time you choose to stand tall, you strengthen your inner foundation, making it easier to do so the next time. There's also a ripple effect to this practice. When you carry yourself with self-respect, you set a standard for how others treat you. People begin to recognize that you won't tolerate disrespect, not because you demand it vocally, but because your presence commands it silently. Your confidence inspires others, showing them what it looks like to value yourself without diminishing others. It's a quiet form of leadership, one that starts with your relationship with yourself. Think of self-respect as a flame within you. When someone disrespects you, they're trying to blow out that flame, to make you feel small and powerless. But when you hold your head high, you protect that flame, allowing it to burn brighter. Over time, that light not only illuminates your own path, but also serves as a beacon for others. It shows them that it's possible to remain unshaken, to rise above negativity, and to live with dignity and grace. This practice is not about perfection. There will be moments when your confidence wavers, when the weight of others' words feels heavier than usual. In those moments, return to the breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Remind yourself of the Buddha's words. You yourself, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and respect. Let those words anchor you, reconnecting you with the truth of your intrinsic worth. The next time someone tries to make you feel small, pause and breathe. Stand tall, shoulders back, head held high. Look them in the eye, not with defiance, but with quiet confidence. Let your composure speak for itself, a silent reminder that your worth is not determined by their words. And as you walk away from that interaction, carry with you the knowledge that you are enough, just as you are. This isn't just about responding to disrespect. It's about how you carry yourself through life. It's about recognizing that your self-respect is a gift, one that no one can take from you. And in holding your head high, you honor that gift, living each day with the quiet assurance that you are worthy of love, respect, and dignity, always. Life is far too short to let the disrespect of others dim your light or steal your joy. Every moment you spend dwelling on someone else's negativity is a moment you could be investing in your own growth, your own peace, and your own happiness. The teachings of Buddhism remind us that how we respond to life's challenges, especially the actions of others, defines not only our inner peace, but also the energy we carry into the world. Through silence, boundaries, and unwavering self-respect, you have the power to rise above the noise and claim the space you deserve. Handling disrespect isn't about retaliating or proving someone wrong. It's not about fighting fire with fire or meeting hostility with hostility. Instead, it's about standing firmly in your truth, rooted in your values, and letting your actions reflect the peace and dignity you hold within. It's about responding with compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. When you prioritize your inner peace, you're not just protecting your energy, you're cultivating a life of authenticity and alignment. Think of this as your new mantra. I respect myself enough to protect my energy and live authentically. Repeat it to yourself when someone crosses a line or tests your patience. Let it ground you when you're faced with a decision about whether to engage or let go. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each time you choose silence over argument, boundaries over exhaustion, or confidence over self-doubt, you're taking another step toward the life you truly deserve. Now, it's your turn. As you reflect on these 5 strategies, ask yourself, which one speaks to you the most? Is there a moment in your life when embracing silence, setting boundaries, or standing tall in your self-respect changed the outcome of a difficult situation? Perhaps there's a moment you wish you'd handled differently, and this has given you a new perspective. Whatever your story, I'd love to hear it. Share your thoughts in the comments below, not just for me, but for everyone in this community. Your experiences might inspire someone else, reminding them that they're not alone in navigating the complexities of respect and self-worth. And if you found this video helpful, I'd be so grateful if you'd give it a thumbs up. It's a small gesture, but it means the world in helping this content reach others who might need it. If you're not already part of this journey, I invite you to subscribe. Together, we're building a space where wisdom, compassion, and self-growth are celebrated. A place where we learn to navigate life with grace and resilience. Remember, you are stronger than you think. The ability to protect your peace and rise above negativity is within you, waiting to be cultivated and embraced. Every time you choose compassion over anger, boundaries over people-pleasing, or confidence over self-doubt, you're sending a message, not just to the world, but to yourself. You're affirming your worth, your strength, and your commitment to living a life that honors who you truly are. Thank you for spending this time with me. It's a privilege to share these insights with you, and I hope they resonate in a way that feels meaningful. As you move forward, carry these lessons with you. Let them guide you in moments of challenge, and let them remind you that you are deserving of respect, love, and peace, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Let's continue this journey together, supporting one another as we learn to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace. You are not alone in this. We're all in it together, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts, your stories, and your reflections. Until next time, take care, stay strong, and always remember, your peace is worth protecting, and you are worth every bit of the respect you give yourself. Let's live it together.